It's time to preview the NFL season. And we're going to talk about the NFC first. All that coming up in just a minute. What's good, everybody? It's your boy Jay here with Unfair Sports, where we take a pensive approach to the sports conversation. And in this video, this is all part of our NFL preview. Let's dive right in, shall we? We do this every year. Probably one of my favorite things to do.
Absolutely.
I love preview shows. I like talking about everybody and what's going on. We don't do the traditional preview shows for the newer listeners like everybody else does. We kind of condense it down. So these things that we'll focus on. We're of course going to do both conferences, the divisional winners. One of my favorite traditions that we always pick, there's two teams that are going to make the playoffs that didn't make it last year, and the two teams that they're going to replace. Because it's really weird how the NFL is set up. It's always like that. Mm-hmm. And then we'll do conference championship, Super Bowl champion, as well as our awards. If you're checking us out on YouTube, these will all be separate videos. You can go ahead and watch, see who we pick, and then let us know what you think in the comments. Like, subscribe, and all of that jazz, and share, because sharing is caring. And then outside of that, I'm very excited about this NFL season. This is why I'm super excited about this NFL season. These 5 quarterbacks are going to be intriguing. We're going to talk about at the end who we think is going to flame out. I want to tee y'all up for that because I think that's going to be fun to talk through. But this is the first draft since 1999. We talked about this on a few shows back. That we got 5 quarterbacks who drafted in the first round that will most likely get some starting time. We got that back then. And, of course, not everybody survived. We'll explain why on the other end. But we're going to start off with the NFC. I think I like the NFC better this time around. We're going to talk through who we think is going to first. Let's start with divisional winners. Mm-hmm. And then we'll go through who the 7 teams that are going to make the playoffs. Okay. You ready? You feeling yourself?
Yes.
Feeling yourself? All right, Jimmy. I'm going to let you tee us off. Give me your NFC North winner.
NFC North winner is going to be the Packers.
Okay, that makes sense.
I mean, top to bottom, the most talented team in the division. I think the Vikings are definitely going to push them. They are better than people think, and nobody's talking about them. You get your pass rusher, Danielle Hunter, back. So they're going to push the Packers record-wise and maybe even split with them. The Bears, they're, I think, a year or two away. Once you get Justin Fields firmly entrenched as the quarterback, I think you'll have more of a legitimate shot. So I think they'll be pretty good this year. I think the Bears, but still the Packers, they're the class of the NFC North, so they take the division yet again.
Same. I got the Packers as well. They got Aaron Rodgers for one more year. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those, let's just see what happens. They traded and got back Cobb, so they gave him who kind of Aaron Rodgers wanted, and
like
adding him
third
with
down
Adams,
security blanket.
Yeah, his security blanket, one of the guys he really likes. And overall, Packers is just the best team in the North, so there's no reason for them not to win it. So East, who do you got in the NFC least?
NFC least. Let's go with the Washington football team.
Wow,
I think that they will still out-tough Dallas and grind and find a way to win this division again, just like they did last year. And I think that in a way, we know essentially what Ryan Fitzpatrick is, that he has these spectacular games, and then he has these games where he doesn't even look like he's ever played football before at the quarterback position. But I think what will help to mitigate that is that this Washington football team defense, that defensive line, is one of the most fierce in the NFL. So that will keep them in those games that Fitzpatrick flames out and actually win them some games when he's just decent, but he's not doing anything other than managing the game. I like that they added Curtis Samuel from Carolina in free agency. He's just a weapon. He can play running back. He can play wide receiver. 95 Madden speed, which I do care about that. As you listen to the show, I care about Madden speed. So 95. So I think that for all the hype and all the hard knocks and all the kicking off the NFL season, I think in the end it's just going to be the boring old Ron Rivera-led Washington football team.
Yep, they were the 3rd-ranked team DVOA last year. So that tells you a lot about how good defensively they are. But I'm the opposite on that. I'm going with the Dallas Cowboys. Okay. I say that because the Cowboys would have won the division last year if Dak did not get hurt. As bad as the defense was, that offense was still humming, especially with Dak out there.
Yep.
If they would have had Dak, they would have won it last year. They have Dak now. We'll see what he looks like. But honestly, a half Dak is better than no Dak. No, honestly, a half Dak is better than a full Dalton. And I'll just put it to you like that. So because of that, Cowboys wins the division, finally gets it back, takes over the East. NFC West.
NFC West, the Rams are going to win this division. Again, you fall back on having the best defensive player, period, and maybe even the second best defensive player, period, in Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, respectively. So you have those two. And getting Matthew Stafford is going to be a pretty significant upgrade that people are overlooking over Jared Goff in this offense. So, yes, it hurts that they lost their starting running back Cam Akers, second year back. But I think that with the committee approach, they, especially in getting Sony Michel from, champion from New England, that they're going to do enough in the run game to set up the pass. So I think that this is the quarterback that McVay's been looking for, and this is exactly what he's needing in order to get back and get deeper into the playoffs. So I think that the Rams are going to be better than Seattle because at some point this season, like always, they're going to stop letting Russ cook, and that's going to hurt them. And the 49ers, I still worry about the injuries and them being unsettled at quarterback. If they're settled at quarterback, that means that Trey Lance is in there and he's a rookie, so I don't see him beating them. The Cardinals are questionable. I like J.J. Watt, especially from a leadership standpoint.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But it's something about this team late in the season. One thing I know I don't like as well is that they don't have Larry Fitzgerald, who's just kind of taking his time and deciding if he wants to come back and play.
Getting old.
Yeah, so I'm going to take the Rams.
Same. I actually, picked the Rams as well.
Yeah.
And for the exact reason for you, Matt Stafford is going to play quarterback for a coach that played quarterback for like the last, 5 years for the Rams? Right. So now he has the quarterback is replacing himself with an actual quarterback that he can still continue to be a quarterback with. So they can actually work together for a change. It's a different model now. Stafford can go out there and do his things. And at the same time, this is the best defense Stafford has ever had in his career. The Rams were number 4 in DVOA last year. Ridiculous defense. Aaron Donald, defensive player of the year, too many times to even count. You've got that now. You've got Sonny Michel at running back, so I think the running game's not going to be that bad. I think Sonny Michel would do better in this system than when the way New England does it by running back by committee. So him being more of a feature back, if he can stay healthy, there's no reason why the Rams should not win this division this time around. NFC South.
NFC South, it's going to be the Bucs, obviously. They don't face any threats in this division. I think what they're going to do with their divisional games is like practice mode in Madden where you just kind of lab different plays. So they're going to lab a lot of plays on defenses and offense against the Falcons. The Saints, they're going to be way conservative on offense because they don't want to give too much to Jameis Winston or put him in a position to be old Jameis Winston. And Alvin Kamara is not going to beat you by himself. So I think that the Saints really aren't a threat either. The Panthers, surprisingly, I think, are going to be the biggest threat. Not in the sense of winning the division, but I think they're going to push them a lot harder than people think. The Panthers pushed quite a few teams last season, and that's when Teddy Bridgewater, the ultimate game manager. I do like Teddy.
Yep.
But I think Darnold, he makes them a little more dynamic. I think you get C-Mac back. You have a good collection of receivers, and that young defense is better than people think. So I think that they're going to push them. They may actually be one of the teams in this division to beat the Bucs, but that'll be it. They'll go 5-1, 6-0, easily win this division.
Yeah, I got the Buccaneers winning it as well, just because of the change of regimes that we've seen. The Saints are in salary cap hell in a way, and they're still trying to figure out those. No Michael Thomas, which I actually don't think is a bad thing. But to be honest, the Saints is kind of my surprise team. I don't know where to put them because I'm a lot higher on Jameis Winston than most. Jameis Winston threw for 5,000 yards and 30 touchdowns. He did throw for 30 interceptions as well, but I don't blame him fully for all of that. He just threw the ball too much. And at the same time, Bruce Arians feels like him and Leftwich together feels more like a coach that's really good with more veterans than they are with younger guys. At least that's what it feels like, in my opinion.
Right.
And because of that, I think Winston does well underneath Sean Payton, who's a little bit more creative with the way they do things. It feels like Arians and him likes a guy that can take command sometimes, and that's perfect for Tom Brady, where him and Leftwich can bounce the ideas back and forth, and Brady can be like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and veto that idea. I'm going with this one. And Leftwich is like, cool. If you think it'll work, go for it. You the GOAT. He can go do it. I feel like that's more the situation there. So, okay. What's your rankings as far as the NFC? Do you have your 1 through 7 seeds? Do you know who's going to be who's your last 3 play? Yeah. Who's your rankings in the NFC as far as playoffs? So that'll give us your 5, 6, and 7 after your 1 through 4. Because the divisionals, of course, are 1 through 4.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
who's going to take it?
So 1 through 4, I say the Bucks take the 1 seed, Packers 2, Rams 3, football team 4.
Okay.
And then the other wild card teams are the Seahawks
Of
going to
course.
get in. The 49ers are going to be the 3rd team from the NFC West to get in.
Oh wow, you think it's gonna be 3 from the NFC West? Wow.
I think so.
Okay.
And I'm going to go with the Cowboys, but don't be surprised if the Cardinals get into this spot and the entire NFC West gets to the playoffs, but I'm going to say Cowboys.
I'm impressed. That is, I've never heard of a division having everybody make it the playoffs, especially if they're playing each other so much. But whatever, if you think it, hey, I'll let you have that.
Yeah.
Mine, I have the Rams with the number 1, the Bucks at 2, the Packers at 3, the Cowboys at 4. I have the Seahawks taking in the 5th. I know they're going to make it. The Washington football team at the 6th seed. And like you, I have the NFC West with 3 teams with the Cardinals making the 7th pick. I don't see the 49ers making it only because I think the 49ers will run into issues with quarterback. They don't know what the hell they're going to do yet. And I don't know how healthy they are yet. So
I think the only way the quarterback thing in San Francisco resolves itself is if Jimmy G plays the best football of his career and ends the talk of Trey Lance taking over, at least for this season. Maybe 2022, Trey Lance year, but for this season, Jimmy G's playing way too good. And, I mean, they say he's had a great camp. Preseason, didn't get a lot of reps. I mean, you know how it is with a veteran established quarterback. But that's what it's all about. If Jimmy G, I say they can go even higher than that if Jimmy G is the stable quarterback. But if it's Trey Lance time at any point this season, they may not make the playoffs or they'll be in a lower seed, probably get bounced in the first round.
Okay, makes sense. All right, so 2 teams that make the playoffs that you feel like are going to make it this year that didn't make it last year. Who's your 2 teams? That was the
So they made it this year.
it was the Cowboys and
the Cowboys
and the 49ers. So your 2?
Those are my 2 in.
So his 2 in are the Cowboys and 49ers replacing
The Bears and the Saints. You're out.
So I have the Bears and Saints out as well, but I have the Cowboys and Cardinals. So it's interesting. Yeah, that's a very interesting place.
So then
this was a lot tougher this year than it's been in years past because I have factors that I look at when it comes to it. I want to give you those quick factors real quick. 5 factors whenever I look at teams and how they're going to stack up: coach, quarterback, additions, subtractions, and how they finished the year before. There's a lot of top-heavy teams this year in the NFL, the same ones as last year. It's so hard to be able to predict who's going to replace who. And so when I was looking at this, the sleeper team I had, I mentioned this before, was the Saints. Keep an eye on them. There's a chance they could take that spot from the Cardinals because I don't know how Cliff Kingsbury is going to last. Cliff Kingsbury might lose his job after this season, depending on how they perform. But I can see the Saints make it in there. I can see them, especially the Vegas has their over-under at 9, and they have the Cardinals at 8.5. And Washington football team 8.5. There's a chance the Saints could end up beating that number and making the playoffs. I think that's the team to keep an eye out for. So, perfect. That is the NFC. Let's get started on the AFC.